We now come to the final module, and since each of you have chosen different particular problems to work on, and the discourse that you've had with your various design teams has been different, it's not like any one particular problem will be identical to another. And I've been giving you feedback along the way regarding your particular projects. You're now at the point where you are focusing toward your presentation and the report or the study that you've done on trying to solve this particular complex problem. What I'm focusing on in this particular module is how you present to stakeholders. And so for that reason, I have given you readings from classical rhetoric in order to help you through this process. And I want to talk to you about how to use these various tools. First, as you're working through the readings in Aristotle, keep in mind that Aristotle is opening to you how to think about various systems. As you read through chapters 4 through 8, he introduces you to various pieces of how to approach a complex political environment and how to speak to that environment. So what I want you to do is to read through books 1 through 3 that give you a context to understanding what rhetoric is. But specifically, think through books 4 through 8 in terms of how you're going to approach your stakeholders. There's a lot of information here. And if this were a class on rhetoric, then I would have you draw out a number of details from your reading. Because this is a class in understanding how to deal with complex problems, I'm not going to burden you with a long and careful study in classical rhetoric, which I think is very valuable. Personally, I love teaching rhetoric, and I've taught it for almost a decade. It's a fascinating study. In fact, actually, I have taught it for over a decade. So it's a fascinating study. It's very, very important. But what I'm wanting you to do, rather, is to take that counsel that's found in Aristotle's rhetoric and apply it specifically to your own situation. Take his analysis of the 5 things, the 5 domains of knowledge that a person who is involved in giving political oratory, so deliberative counsel to people. Think through those systems and apply them to your specific situation. Try to think through what the analogy would be for your particular domain. And I think you'll see that the domains that he's referring to will line up within your particular experience. Think through your ultimate goal with your audience. How is it that security and honor relate to this particular audience that you're speaking to? How is it that comparative goods relate, right? And I encourage you to read Aristotle's rhetoric and see what I'm referring to. But then finally, make sure that you've thought carefully through political structures. It is certainly the case that speaking in a democratic organization where you have different stakeholders whose power rests in a vote, that system will behave much differently than an aristocratic type situation or a monarchy where you have a single point solution where you just have to change one person's mind, right? As you're giving your pitch for how to apply your solution to this complex organizational problem, depending on what your audience is, or which audience you're addressing, the strategy that you use in taking this information and consolidating it will be different. And so you must wisely choose, given your situation, how you are going to package this content, how you will introduce it, how you will conclude it. And for that reason, I've given you ad horenum. Ad horenum does not go through how to think through the persuasion of an audience, but rather it gives you structures to use, almost outlines to use in different situations. And so begin with Aristotle and then move into ad horenum and try to do the same sort of analysis. Think through, if I'm in a specific situation, how is it that my situation is like what is described here? Where is it that security and honor are in this situation? Which of those are more important to my stakeholders, and so on? I mean, there are all of these structures that are available there for you to look at and reflect on. So with that in mind, allow yourself to move through this module toward your presentation and the report that you're giving. And as you move through toward that end, I strongly encourage you to practice your delivery, really try to make this presentation clear and eloquent and winsome and decisive, and also make sure that the report that you're writing or the brief that you write can stand up to criticism. Make sure that it's very clear that when somebody reads it, that this is excellent wisdom that is actionable. That's what I'm looking for you to do. So the whole class is built toward this module. I am very much looking forward to your presentations, toward the reports that you are writing about how you would solve the complex problems that you're addressing. And you have a warm and receptive audience in me, but I also encourage you even to get the counsel of the design team that you've been working with. You don't necessarily need to present to them. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I'm excited to see what you come up with, and I'm encouraged to see all the work that you've put into the course this far and see how it will pay off for you in this module.